You're listening to Channel 1138 Nightly News.
Good evening. Welcome to the very first episode of 1138 Nightly News. My name is Zach. I'm the co-host of the Intergalactic Peace Coalition podcast here on Channel 1138. And joining me on another Channel 1138 podcast, the Star Wars Wastelands podcast, it's Armando.
Thank you, Zach. We're going to start this evening off with a box office update. This last weekend, Patty Jenkins breaks the record for highest grossing opening weekend in North America by a female director, surpassing Sam Taylor Johnson's 2015 record set by 50 Shades of Grey. Wonder Woman was not the only big box office hit this weekend, although it was the highest grossing, bringing in 100.3 million or 103 million at the box office. That is a lot of money there that it brought in. Coming in number 2 was Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, brought in a nice 23 million. Pirates of the Caribbean still chugging along pretty good at 22 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 still bringing in the money at a nice 9 million, and Baywatch brought in 8 million over the weekend.
I think the biggest surprise on that number would probably be the fact that Captain Underpants was able to surpass Captain Jack Sparrow. That is just mind-blowing to me, just a little bit there. Some other DC-related news includes a new unveiling for the details of their newest animated feature film, Batman and Harley Quinn. The direct-to-video production is slated for release on digital HD on August the 15th and will subsequently be released on Ultra HD Blu-ray, Blu-ray Deluxe Gift Set, Blu-ray Combo Pack, and on DVD on August 29th. The film will reportedly feature Harley Quinn in a starring role as she teams up with unlikely allies, Batman and Nightwing, to help save the day. That should be interesting.
Indeed. In related DC news, Supergirl casts Odette Annabelle as the next big bad for Season 3. Warner Bros. Television has confirmed that Annabelle, who is best known for her roles in Cloverfield and Pure Genius, has been cast as Rain, who will be the next comic book villain to take on Supergirl in the hit series. They also confirmed that Rain's appearance will involve an interpretation of the infamous World Killer storyline from DC Comics. Season 3 of Supergirl is expected to air sometime this fall.
Now, I will jump in and say that I think one of the best moves that Supergirl has made was the move over to the CW. And I know some people may disagree with me, but I think the abilities that they have been able to kind of jump into with this particular series is mind-blowing. Their imagination just continues to blow things out of the water, similarly to how many other CW TV shows do. They've just been doing so well lately. The upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong film has gotten its director. After the success of 2014 Godzilla and the latest Kong Skull Island that came out a couple of months ago, Legendary Pictures and Warner Brothers are working together to pit the iconic beasts against each other in their continually growing monsterverse. Adam Wingard, who recently directed the adaptation of the popular horror manga Death Note, has signed on to helm this upcoming film. Godzilla vs. King Kong is set to be released on May 22nd of 2020.
You know, I really look forward to seeing that film. On to other film news, Haley Steinfeld is reportedly in talks for the Transformer Bumblebee spinoff. Variety is reporting that the Oscar nominee is up for a starring role in the franchise's first standalone film, which will be directed by Travis Knight. The Bumblebee spinoff is slated for release on June 8th, 2018.
You know, to me, this is very surprising. After the many years that we have seen Transformer movies just crush numbers in the box office, if you'll pardon the pun, they have never had a spin-off film until now, which, you know, a lot of other film franchises, including Star Wars, have had some success with spin-off films, and so this should be an interesting move by the Transformers people. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do. But casting somebody that is an Oscar nominee, that seems like a move in the right direction. The very first trailer for the upcoming film Murder on the Orient Express just dropped, and it recently gave us our first look at the newest murder mystery reboot. The teaser shows a magnificent cast of actors, which include Penelope Cruz, Willem Dafoe, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, and others, along with Kenneth Branagh, who is directing. The film opens in theaters on November the 10th, is based on the 1934 book of the same name written by the famous Agatha Christie.
That cast in that film just looks absolutely incredible. I'm really looking forward to getting out and maybe seeing that film.
You know what's really interesting? You could give that list of actors and actresses without listing the plot, and I bet you would still get people interested in this film.
Absolutely. I think they did a wonderful job with that, and I hope that they do the original story justice. On to some sad news, though, however. British actor Peter Sallis, who played the cheese-loving inventor Wallace in the famed Wallace and Gromit animated films, has passed away. He was 96. He passed away last Friday in his London retirement home with family by his side. They reported it was peaceful, and he, like I said, he will be missed.
He indeed will be missed. But, with all of the recent news that we have had of celebrities passing away, this one sounds a lot more peaceful than some of the others. Yes, it is a loss. Yes, he will be missed. But the fact that he had family by his side, the fact that he was a ripe age of 96, and the fact that he has left such a legacy behind is definitely going to help us carry on his memory for years to come. Some other Star Wars related news with Daisy Ridley in the Murder on the Orient Express. Oscar Isaac, also involved in the Star Wars franchise, is going to he actually did have a conversation with Stephen Colbert. He talked on The Late Show about some scenes that he shared with the late Carrie Fisher, who portrayed General Leia Organa. Isaac describes one scene in particular where he said it was required for Fisher to slap him. And in total, it took 27 takes. It definitely sounds like something we're going to have to look forward to in the upcoming film.
Can you imagine being slapped 27 times by Carrie Fisher?
I would just say, can we make it 28, please? Right here, right on this lower part of the jaw. You didn't quite get that one.
Man, that's something. All right. Some more Star Wars news. We're going to flip over to the gaming side. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the first live stream of gameplay trailer, will be revealed on June 10th. EA has announced that they will be showing off gameplay from the Assault on Theed game mode that will be included in the new game, which is scheduled for release later this year. At 3:30 p.m. Eastern on the 10th, fans can look forward to seeing 40 players face off on the planet of Naboo in a Clone Wars-themed match as they battle for control. You'll see clone troopers and battle droids. A collection of well-known YouTube stars and Twitch streamers will be participating in the live stream. I know I'm very excited about this, and I'll be tuning in for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one thing that people were asking for time and time again with the original Battlefront release from EA was they wanted something from the Clone Wars era. So the people at EA are saying, you know what? If that's what you're asking for, then that's what we're going to show you right off the bat here with our first gameplay. And to be able to take some different YouTube stars and Twitch streamers and pit 40 of them against one another, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome, awesome time.
Absolutely. And for more information on gaming, especially Battlefront, and even with E3 coming up, always be sure to check out Star Wars Wastelands Wednesday nights here on Channel 1138.
Indeed. Now, some other somewhat related news to gaming. We are actually going to be getting a game put to the big screen with the Uncharted movie. And it has been reported and confirmed that Spider-Man star Tom Holland has been cast as a young Nathan Drake in this upcoming film. Deadline reports that the film is being redrafted as a prequel to the very popular adventure game series by Naughty Dog. Sean Levy will direct Uncharted's big screen debut, produced by Sony Pictures.
It's actually interesting. I actually read an article the other day that said this whole idea was actually Tom Holland's idea to do the prequel and to do things like that. So I'm really interested to see how this turns out.
It's going to be really interesting because we have seen some other video games turned movie that sometimes works, sometimes they don't. And it's kind of interesting that Sony is the one that's producing this, because they're really seeming to stretch their boundaries a little bit, reaching out from genre to genre. You know, they were just talking about casting Tom Hardy in the upcoming Venom movie, and now they're going to the video game side of things. They're really stretching out, and I think it may be a move to try and counterpoint some of the things that Disney may be doing, some of the things that 20th Century Fox may be doing. You've got to find your niche if you're going to succeed in the movie industry, and I think Sony Pictures is trying to scratch at any possibility that they can get.
Absolutely. And a little bit of sad news for fans of the Netflix series Sense8. After 23 episodes over the course of 2 seasons, the streaming platform has decided to pull the plug on this popular television series. I do believe that the 2 seasons that have been filmed will be remaining on the service, just no more episodes will be added. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and watch it. And if you are a fan, I'm sorry.
Man, as a fan of shows that have not had a longevity, I feel for the Sense8 fans. You look at shows like Firefly, Terra Nova, Almost Human, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. They all lasted 1 or 2 seasons, and yet they still had a cult following. They still had a lot of people that were big fans of the show, that were very loyal to it, but you just don't hear about it happening so soon on a Netflix original. Netflix usually goes 3 or 4 seasons deep, so for something to finish this soon is rather unprecedented. I'd be interested in, taking a look at their numbers just to see what they were comparing them to and what it was that actually caused them to pull the plug.
Yeah, and you know what? You brought up Terra Nova. I had such high hopes for that show.
I did too. I really did. It had a really, really solid premise, a really, really good-looking cast. The finale had a lot of questions on my mind that I never really got answered. Maybe one of these days they'll do a movie a la Serenity to help kind of tie up the loose ends, but it seems highly unlikely at this point.
Unfortunately.
Well, while we're on the subject of Netflix television series, let's go to a little bit of good news. We finally have a release date for Marvel's anticipated Punisher series on Netflix. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the show's director accidentally let it slip, quote-unquote accidentally, that this new series will be made ready for binging by November. The Punisher stars Jon Bernthal as the primary character Frank Castle, and will no doubt also include the likes of, Claire. She seems to kind of be the staple of all of this. Who's she played by? Her name escapes me.
I admittedly have not really been following a lot of the Marvel Netflix series. I need to catch up on them all, but man,
it's exciting. It is exciting news, to be honest, because I think a lot of people will agree that one of the things that they really enjoyed about the second season of Daredevil was Frank Castle. His character development was something that nobody really expected, nobody really saw coming, and then when you got towards the end of the season, you're questioning whether he's in the right or if he's in the wrong. And you're looking at what he is doing for his family, looking at what he's doing for those around him. And it was very emotional. It drew a lot of very positive responses, so much so that they were willing to give him his own character. Now, one thing I would like to add before we move on. This is going to be the 3rd Netflix original series that we are getting in 2017. We already got Iron Fist, and then we also are getting the Defenders in August. And then we are also going to get the Rosario Dawson-laden Punisher series. Rosario Dawson, that's the name that I was thinking of earlier. She plays Claire Temple in just about every series that pops up. We're going to be getting her along with Jon Bernthal and probably several other characters from other series to wrap up the 2017 slate. And it definitely makes me feel encouraged about what we're going to be doing in 2018.
Absolutely. And you know what? I believe Iron Fist, was it last week or the week before, was actually given the thumbs up for a second season. So that's exciting for fans of that series as well.
I'm very excited and very hopeful for sure.
All right. Now let's take it from Netflix and let's throw it back to the big screen. Charlie Heaton is in talks to join the cast of Fox's New Mutants. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Heaton, who is best known for portraying Jonathan Byers in the hit Netflix series Stranger Things, is in negotiations to play Sam Guthrie, aka Cannibal, in the upcoming X-Men spinoff New Mutants. Now, check out this quote. This is something that I think is really cool. We're making a full-fledged horror movie set within the X-Men universe, director Josh Boone told Entertainment Weekly. There are no costumes. There are no supervillains. We're trying to do something very, very different. If this excites you, New Mutants debuts April 13th, 2018, along Deadpool 2 and Dark Phoenix also set to release next year.
That is another handsome slate by 20th Century Fox. As much criticism and speculation as people tend to give them, the creative routes that they seem to be taking for this particular series, this portion of the Marvel Universe that they have control over, they seem to be doing a very, very good job at maintaining what they have started with the likes of Deadpool, with the likes of Logan, and hopefully that momentum continues to carry. I don't think I have ever heard of or seen a horror film involving superheroes. We had the dystopian futuristic look with the things that we saw from Logan, but we really never got anything that was horror oriented. So I am interested to see what they are going to do with that. Some other news involving different release dates and the likes of some really, really interesting originals. Amazon has said that they will return to the early days of Hollywood this summer with a former white-collar criminal. According to TVLine.com, the streaming service on Friday announced that a new period drama called The Last Tycoon, and starring Matt Bomer and Frasier's Kelsey Grammer, will premiere all 9 episodes on Friday, July the 28th. It is based on the book by F. Scott Fitzgerald and is inspired by the life of film mogul Irving Thalberg, and follows the Hollywood Golden Boy Monroe star as he battles father figure and boss Pat Brady, played by Grammer, for the soul of their studio.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Amazon continues to provide us with very unique and interesting programming. The Man in the High Castle definitely stands high above everything else, but this one definitely sounds like something Amazon subscribers are going to want to tune into.
And it's really cool that I think Amazon's taken this service that that for the longest time I think it was just attached to the Prime membership, and they've turned it into something similar to what Netflix and what Hulu have both been able to do, and both and create their own television shows and movies and things of that nature specifically for their streaming service.
Well, and you know what else they have done? This isn't exactly geeky related, but this is important for sports fans out there. They actually just recently signed a streaming deal with the NFL's Thursday Night Football for the upcoming season.
That's crazy.
Do you remember last year when the NFL would stream their Thursday night games through Twitter, and all you had to do was find the main Twitter page and you would see a football game on your screen?
I did not, but that's because I always just sit in front of my sofa, or on my sofa in front of my TV.
Fair enough. But for those of you that are on the go, you could watch it through Twitter, and they signed a one-season $10 million deal or something like that. I read a report, and I'm just shooting this off the top of my head, but I think Amazon signed them for this season for a reported $30 million. So the idea of, taking something that is streaming based and giving people some sports access is gone beyond Twitter and is reaching the likes of Amazon as well, which is intriguing.
Absolutely. So let's take it from Amazon to another high dollar, paid for programming network, HBO, and I think their biggest show in history, Game of Thrones. Their 8th and final season may not air until 2019. HBO programming president Casey Bloys said in a recent interview with EW.com. Bloys also confirmed that Bailiff and Wise themselves said last year the end of the flagship series will mean the end of the showrunner's involvement in the world created by George R.R. Martin. so they will not have any part in the prequel spin-offs currently in the works. Season 7 of the series will premiere July 16th on HBO. I think there's 4 spin-offs currently in the works. That's kind of the rumored number, but that's really all we know about them. We know nothing else.
It's interesting because this is something else that I feel definitely has warranted a spin-off, and I think people have been wondering about that for several seasons now. And much like the Transformers series or even the Walking Dead series, which now has Fear the Walking Dead, I think it was probably about time that this one had a spin-off series in the works. It's sad that Benioff and Weiss are not going to be a part of it. However, it is encouraging that even with this series concluding, people are still going to be able to get their Game of Thrones fill if they so choose.
Absolutely.
Let me see. We also have some other news regarding Anthony Edwards joining L&O True Crime. He is famously of ER and has just signed on to play Judge Stanley Weisberg, who sat on the bench during the famous trial of the Melendez brothers. This anthology series will air this fall on NBC, and the cast also includes Miles Gaston Villanueva, Gus Harper as Lyle, and Eric Melendez. Eddie Falco is also going to star as the defense attorney Leslie Abramson. I find this one intriguing because they recently did the O.J. Simpson trials, and now they're going for the Melendez brothers. This seems to be a popular trend in television these days.
It is, and I think one of the reasons you may see that is because I think a lot of people, they set current events to kind of as milestones as to certain memories and certain things in their life. Like I know I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people see some of these and it reminds them of some of those things. But it's also nice to look back on some of that and kind of get a behind the curtains of, oh, that was actually happening. You know, the news was saying this and media was saying this. And you also got to think about it. Back then, media wasn't as big as it is today. You know, social media, there wasn't that. You know, there wasn't, you know, almost anything's posted on social media anymore.
It can be. And sometimes that is a double-edged sword, to be honest. Things can be reported, and you can be the very first one to put something out on the scene, or you can be the very first one to apologize for reporting the wrong information. So
Absolutely.
It can be a little problematic at times. Going back to sports for just a brief moment in time, we talked about the NFL having moved over to Amazon streaming, but that is not the only thing that is happening regarding sports and broadcast. Former New York Yankees shortstop and third baseman Alex Rodriguez has recently signed with ABC News. The Dominican-American sports icon has been said that he will be a contributor to several of ABC's news programs, including Good Morning America, World News Tonight with David Muir, and Nightline. It's said that he will be reporting on a number of topics such as personal fitness, finance, and of course, sports.
Yeah, that's really cool. You know, that's one of those things that I always like to see former players like step into the booth and step into broadcasting. Just so many have done it. You know, Michael Strahan's done a really good job of that out of the NFL. We're about to see Tony Romo from the Dallas Cowboys, Jay Cutler.
I was about to say.
For you and I here in this area, you know, that was a very big news topic.
That was the biggest news for about 2 weeks there. Yes, sir.
So it's really nice to see that. You know, other legends that are already in the booth. You know, you've got Phil Simms. You know, he's been around. John Madden was a coach before he stepped in the broadcast booth. So, you know, that's just really cool there as well. It looks like there's
ABC continues to draw a lot of talent, so that is exciting to see. I do believe we have maybe one other piece of news on tap for the evening. Let me take a look and see what we have here. Let me see. It has been reported this week that the CD Projekt Red originally acquired game rights for the Witcher novel series, and the game has been a critical and retail success for many years. It was acquired for $4,000. Witcher 3 has sold actually several million units to date. So we're getting some expansion from that series. And in the world of gaming, that is a pretty big thing. And if I remember correctly, you said earlier that Wastelands enjoys diving into video game discussion quite often, do they not?
Absolutely, we do. And I'll tell you one other cool thing. Going back to Netflix, so I believe most people don't know this, but The Witcher is based on a novel series, and that novel series is getting a Netflix adaptation, I think either later this year or early next year. Another very popular video game franchise is getting an animated Netflix adaptation. I think it comes out within like either next month or within the next couple weeks, and that is Castlevania. That looks really awesome. I'm really looking forward to that one. So
there are a lot of video games, not just the Overwatch series, but several that are getting film and television adaptations.
absolutely. And like Zach pointed to, check us out on Wastelands every Wednesday night. We like to talk a lot about gaming and different things. And you could also check us out on Hyperspace Entertainment every Tuesday, where we talk about, a lot of those as well. So very, very, very good time to be gamer, because a lot of news is about to come out with E3. Just about, 7 days away, 8 days away, something like that?
Not far off, and it's going to be something that will be reported on for sure on future editions of 1138 Nightly News. This is going to be a regular staple here on channel1138.com, and we will give you more details about that later. But we do want to give you all a brief reminder that the Gotham season finale was tonight, June the 5th. And for those of you that have been following that series, it has been leading up to a very important climax. So be sure to find it on the Fox Now app or on Hulu or your preferred streaming service so you can get caught up on all the action from that show. Have you been following it any, Armando?
You know what? I have not. When it comes to TV, I just don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and watch it. And
I understand that.
what I like to do is I like to wait for a series to maybe get 3 or 4 seasons on a Netflix or a Hulu or one of the other streaming services, where I can just binge it and just catch up all within, a 3 or 4 week period, and then just kind of dive right into it.
Well, people that are fans of the CW shows are definitely grateful that Netflix has been adding the shows sooner rather than later. I know I am among those people. The Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, and The 100, and Supernatural all uploaded their newest seasons to Netflix within the last week and a half, and there has been much binging going on in my house, as I'm sure there are in many other households. I am about to finish The 100 Season 4 this evening myself. If you guys have not seen that program, I would definitely encourage it. It is definitely worth your time and energy. A big thanks to Ben and Johnny, a.k.a. Fizz, for digging up the 1138 news for us to report on tonight. We could not have done it without you and the rest of the Channel 1138 staff members for helping us get this show on the road. A reminder for me personally that I have another show here on channel1138.com called the Intergalactic Peace Coalition Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/IPC Podcast, or follow us on Twitter at IPC Podcast. This week's episode will be discussing the 5th installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean series. I actually have not seen it yet, so sometime between now and Friday, I will be watching this movie and then be talking about it on Friday night. So be sure to tune in to that. Mondo, where can the folks at home find you here on Channel 1138?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Tuesday nights with Hyperspace Entertainment, where we talk a little bit about everything entertainment-wise. We talk about gaming, we dig into the box office, where we will be digging deep into this weekend's box office triumphs of Wonder Woman, and some of the surprises, like the Captain Underpants taking over Captain Jack Sparrow. Star Wars Wastelands on Wednesday night here on Channel 1138. We like to kind of mix it up. We do a lot of fun things. We have been really deep into a trivia showdown where we pit members of our audience as well as members from other shows up against one another, and some really fun trivia matches. So that all surround Star Wars, so it's really cool. Straying from the movies to the novels to the games, to nothing's off limits. So be sure to check us out every Wednesday night here on Channel 1138.
And Channel 1138 Nightly News is going to be a regular staple of your evening programming here on this station. It will be airing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A reminder of some of the other podcasts that we have. We also have Backyard Watch on Mondays, The Wayward Roadhouse and Star Wars Underworld on Thursdays, as well as I mentioned, the Nightly News on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We hope that you will join us for all of that and more here on this Channel 1138 content. But that is it for us tonight. For Armando from Star Wars Wastelands, I'm Zach Arnold from the Intergalactic Peace Coalition, and this was your 1138 Nightly News. Good night, everyone.